Alright, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the 2016 Giant Anthem Advanced SX 27.5. Alright, so first off we're going to start with the frame. For the frame on this bike we've got a advanced grade composite with the aluminium SL rear triangle and the 4-inch Maestro suspension system. Moving on to the cockpit, for the stem, we've got a Giant Contact SL stem. And for the bars, we've got Giant Contact SL as well. That's with the low rise, 31.8mm. Now onto the brakes. We've got the SRAM Guide RS hydraulic disc. Front road is 180mm and the rear is 160mm. So that offers you some pretty big stopping power, which is needed when you're shredding down the trail. So those rotors are pretty big. For the front fork, we've got the RockShox Revelation RL, which has a 15mm through axle, and this is 120mm because this is the SX model, so it's a bit beefier than the normal Anthem. Still a cross-country bike, but it's a bit more trail orientated for that more aggressive cross-country rider. For the rear shock, we've got the RockShox Monarch RT Debonair. Soaks up every little bump that you would feel, and with the Maestro suspension system, when you're pedaling you don't have much pedal bob, so it only activates when you're absolutely shredding down a trail. It's awesome. Alright, moving on to the saddle. We've got the Giant Contact forward saddle, and attached to that we have the Giant Contact SL switch dropper post. And you don't really see a dropper post on the normal Anthem, but because this is the Anthem SX, it's a bit beefier, so it's got 120mm travel opposed to the normal Anthem with 100mm, and they've added the dropper post, so that's a really good upgrade for when you're about to shred down the trail. You just hit the dropper post and you'll be a lot more confident on the downhill, which means you can hit bigger stuff as well. So here's the activation of the dropper post, and so you just switch it straight back up when you're about to head back up the trail. Awesome feature on this Anthem Advanced SX. Onto the shifters, we've got the SRAM XO trigger shifter. So for the front crankset we've got the SRAM XO, which is mounted to a 32 tooth front chainring, and this is a single speed drivetrain, which means there's no front derailleur, but there's 11 gears on the rear cassette, so that offers a pretty wide range of gear selection. So it's a 10 tooth at the very bottom to a 42 tooth up the top, which is, again, as I said, a pretty big range of gears for shredding down the trail and then riding straight back to the top. The rear derailleur on this bike is the SRAM XO1 11 speed. Very reliable, very smooth shifting. Moving on to the wheel set, we've got the Giant PTRX1 composite wheels. These are carbon wheels, carbon wheel set, front and rear, so these pretty much wherever you point them they're going to go, so absolutely awesome to have these on the Giant Anthem Advanced SX 27.5. So this bike is the bigger brother, if you like, of the normal Anthem, normal Giant Anthem, because this one has 120mm travel up the front on the front fork, opposed to the normal Anthem, which has 100mm. So this is still an XC bike, and you can do races on it pretty easily, but it's a bit more beefed up, so when you want to hit the trails pretty hard, this thing definitely has you covered. So it's a bit beefier, as in it's got 120mm travel up the front. It's got the SRAM Guide RS brakes, so they're pretty big stopping power. It's got the dropper post, so chuck it up when you're about to head up the trail, put it down when you're about to shred down it. And the geometry is a bit different to the normal Anthem, so it's got a bit slacker head tube and all those sorts of things that make for an awesome trail but still XC race bike.